Hey everybody, thanks again for joining us on today's segment. We're again back in Matt's backyard. He is on daddy duty, so you might hear his daughter in the background playing around and making some growling noises or shaking a rattle, but it's all good because, you know, such is life, and it's great to have kids around. So, but we're your Beer with the Brokers guys. I'm your host, John Perotti, along with Matt King, part of the King team with Kentwood Real Estate. And join us today as we discuss what we like about Lafayette, as well as a couple other things that we've noticed in the market. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about today's market, and I'm sure everybody watches the news. I watch it in the morning, I watch it in the evening. Whether you're watching Channel 9, 31, what have you, whatever's your flavor, pretty much one guarantee is that you're always going to hear the anchors talk about today's real estate market. It's very hot for sellers, it's difficult for buyers. And you see a lot of questions that come out as far as like, is now the right time to buy? Should I wait until later? What can my broker do for me, or what should I look for in a broker? So I think it's important that we talk a little bit about that because it is on the forefront of today's news. And if you're in the market for a home right now, it is something it hits close to home as far as what you need to know going into this market.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit of a fight for most people, especially first-time home buyers with little down payments. It can be very stressful. You know, my advice is, just understand that you're about to get into you're in a bit of a fight right now, but that doesn't mean you sit on the sidelines, because what's going to happen is that house that you potentially could have got at 350, 400,000, has the potential of going up for significantly more in the future if you just wait. Like for us, I have no problem going out. If we lose, we lose. But that's not the way I am. I'm very competitive, so I want to win everything. So that we do our best on every one to get it. But we also, the thing is, if you're kind of sitting on the sidelines saying, I don't want to get into it because of how crazy it is, just understand you're not going to get into it in a couple months and suddenly those prices are going to drop. If that happens, something bad has happened.
Yeah.
Economically, something terrible has happened that is not really on anyone's radar. Even when coronavirus happened, I thought, for sure prices would drop. No, all that happened was that people got more desperate to get, they sat around their house and said, I need a new house.
Yeah, and they wanted to move to Colorado because we do offer the recreation. We do offer a little bit more space than if you're in like New York City or Manhattan or LA. And at the time, and still for different markets, it is more affordable than some of your major city centers like New York and whatnot. However, Colorado's creeping up there.
We have it. Yeah, we have the multiple city centers with the Denver, the Fort Collins, the Boulder, the Colorado Springs. These areas are blowing up. I mean, it's amazing, the I-25 corridor. What Colorado is we're a lifestyle state. So what that means is people come here looking for a change of pace. And because of the mountains, we have that. Even though we have your Denver, we have your Fort Collins, we got your Boulder, we got your Colorado Springs. These are the major cities, all within easy distance to one another. And they're filling in. But they all have access to mountains, to getting away from it. Taking your children to places in the mountains where they can kind of get away from technology, as mine hollers at us in the background. But it's a very popular state to move to right now. So sitting on the sidelines, what that means is that house could go up.
Yes.
And waiting can hurt you.
Yeah, and I've actually experienced that with some of my clients where, when we started off looking at different homes, in whether we put offers in or whether we didn't, the same homes that we looked at a couple months ago are no longer within that same search field because the values have gone up. So the longer you wait, the more you could be taking yourself out of what you want and putting yourself into a different style of home or different location, what have you. But you had mentioned the economics side of things, and I'm an econ major, so I like to pay attention to it. And a lot of people have asked me, are we in a bubble? Yeah. And they've even asked that on the news or brought it up there as well. And they're like, well, is this like 2008 where things are going to pop and everything's going to tumble down? There's totally different economics going on from then in 2008 till now. Back then you had a plethora of homes being built, more homes than there was demand. Yeah. You also had different lending practices. Now you're seeing that lending is typically a little bit tighter, and the supply is just not there for the demand. So it does kind of come down to simple supply and demand issues. supply's not there, demand is definitely higher, so it's bringing those rates up. At some point you'll hit that equilibrium, but none of the experts out there are looking at a bubble to burst.
No.
And then when you look at mortgage rates where they are, where you can get in around a 3%, give or take a little bit depending on your
and
situation.
It's not a balloon loan. It's
No,
not. You're
it's-
not looking at now and then, and they actually check your background and make sure that you make what you say you make, and
Yep.
it's a thorough process now.
Yeah, and back in 2008, the big issue was you'd have those ballooning loans, and it was like, okay, today I can make my payment, next month, oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute, we have to come here with what? And then you'd see a ton of foreclosures going in. So all the signals show we're not in a bubble. However, signals are also showing that we're going to be in a high demand, low supply state for a couple of years to come still,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah, and they don't. We're not expecting the 20s and 30% rises year over year or month over month. What I mean, it's that drastic right now. However, what we are expecting are things to kind of more even out as people start to put their homes on the market and kind of offset that. The problem is, John mentioned, inventory or builders can't keep up with the pace. That's one thing we're seeing here. It's not, in Colorado, we're not building houses fast enough for the amount of people that need them. That's just not here though. That's all 50 states. Everyone's dealing with it right now. So
And also material cost as well. All the states are dealing with an increase in material costs, so you're seeing higher prices from that as well.
So now as we've started to open up, hopefully, can never guarantee, things start coming back down, going back to where they were, or at least maybe we find some middle ground. And then once that happens, prices won't go down because they generally don't have to. They'll kind of even out a little more, but you're still, I wouldn't believe you'll see any sort of appreciation short of 5% in the next couple of years with demand right now.
I definitay don't see anything coming down to where you're not gaining anything. So a couple of things that you would want to talk to with your lender is where am I at as far as what I can afford? What do I need to potentially have as savings to go over asking price? Because most properties right now are going over asking. Those are some questions to have with your lender, and also a discussion to have with your brokers. And we can help you navigate kind of what you want to look at, what you're capable of doing, and just kind of see where you're comfortable. And that's the biggest thing is you want to be comfortable with where you're at. You don't want to shoot the moon and be like, oh, what did I do? After the fact. So that's where you also have to communicate with your broker.
Yeah.
And I had this discussion the other day with a client of mine, and that right now we're at historic rates as far as speed of homes coming off the market. You're looking at 4 days, days on market for an average, which is a record for the market. So if you're saying, oh, I'll wait 5 days, I'll wait a week, and maybe I won't talk to you right away, that's something that's totally within everybody's control is communication. You need to make sure that you're having those conversations with your broker, with your lenders, so everybody's on the same page and you're doing it quickly.
Yeah, so when you're talking to your lender, make sure, you get all your approval taken care of so you can go as quickly as possible. And then the other thing you want to make sure is if your lender has any sort of incentives. There's lenders out there offering incentives to sellers right now to try to get them to take your offer. If you've got a lender that might do that, that could definitely benefit your offer. But like John said, make sure you have funds potentially saved away to go over asking, to cover appraisals. But one thing we're going to recommend, don't ever waive an inspection. Don't do it. Even on new, if you feel you have a need for an inspection, we definitely suggest that. But we'd love to help you guys out if you're thinking of buying. And we have been navigating this process. We have been getting houses under contract, both on the buy side and the sell side, of course. But we would love to help you out with that. Now we're going to transition to some of the things that we really love about Lafayette. So some of the things we really want to talk about with Lafayette, obviously for me, outdoors is a big thing. You can see my little pond behind me, and maybe you might have seen a fish or two swim by during our segments. But I love the outdoors, the area, and Lafayette. It's got some nice outdoorsy areas like Winnetka Lake is a nice spot to go and hike around. I really enjoyed over there. Another thing I really enjoy, beer, going and grabbing a beer. A couple of my favorite places, Odd 13 is a great spot right off of East Simpson, which isn't technically like the Old Town section, but it's a little
close enough.
Yeah, it's a part of it. It's not like on South Public, but it's a little offshoot. Community is an awesome restaurant over there. Lafayette, the downtown section has just blown up tremendously, and especially the last couple of years. Everyone was behind Louisville. Louisville had an amazing jump on everyone, and now these communities are starting to catch up.
Yeah, and a couple of the things that I love to do with my family kind of mirror yours. Obviously, I've got 2 younger children, so we love to go to the WOW Museum, which is just off of downtown. Kids love it there. And then also just going up and down downtown Lafayette, the restaurants that are available to go and eat at. My wife loves Tangerine, so that's generally a nice Sunday morning brunch place to go. But then you mentioned Wanaka Lake, or Wanaka, however you pronounce it, we don't know. But we would do the rowboats before Corona happened. So kids would get out there, and it was either the Dragon or the Swan, or the different rowboats that you could do. But that was always fun. It's a mile-long hike around if you wanted to, and then the playground there is awesome. And I mean, even when I was growing up, though, way back when I was about 10, 11 years old, my family used to take us up to the flea market up in Lafayette. And that place was just a treasure trove of goodies when you're a little kid. It was a ton of fun for me growing up. So those are just some of the things that stand out for me and that I go to. But obviously, Odd 13, delicious. Liquid Mechanics is a go-to for me. I interned there for a little bit, so obviously I'm a little partial to them. But good beer in both breweries, and
95A for me. I mean, that's another restaurant that I mentioned earlier. That one, you'll see myself there often, or most certainly my parents. So there's a lot of little, great spots within Lafayette to check out. For the King team, I'm Matt King. This is John Perotti. Want to thank you guys again for joining us as we're shooting at our house. We had to show, if you've been watching and hearing the growls in the background, this little munchkin's been the one responsible for it. This is Remy. But we want to thank you guys, and we hope if you have any more questions about Lafayette, want to learn more about the community, feel free to let us know. Or if you are interested in jumping into this market and have some more questions about that, feel free to give the King team a call. We're happy to help you out. And for the Beer with Brokers guys, see you next time. Cheers.